So here we are. We are amidst serious gateway right now, happening until tomorrow. Welcome, welcome, beautiful beings. So quite the conversation today. Oh, AK and Tori, if you're new, please write your name in the comments. I would love to meet you. For those of you that are new, my name is Kema, founder, creator, over here at the Kamali Temple. And so, wow. Wow. You know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Hi, Tammy, Liz. This is a really exciting time to be alive. And, you know, it's like the conscious, expansive, spirited aspect of me knows that. Even the conscious part of me knows that. But then with that comes the specialness of this time being alive. The really comes through what is not only being revealed to us in our external environment, but in our internal, most importantly. And, you know, the dial is turning up. And while it is a huge blessing and a huge gift, and again, a huge delight and honor to be a part of this time in our evolution, it can certainly bring up some growing pains. Kat, oh, it's so nice to meet you all. Dima, hey. So, you know, right now, and let me just preface this by saying that, you know, I'm a full believer, obviously, in energy, in non-physical energy. I think that goes without saying. And certainly am a believer in the cosmos and astrology and the map of the sky. You know, I just think in great totality right now, we are all being activated. We are all being awakened and being called forth to release and clear the outdated baggage. And again, this is a gift, but the actual process of doing so, as I'm sure many of you know, and many of you that I've been working with and hearing from, man, what comes up is certainly not the most comfortable. On the feeling side, you know, and the physicality in the body, yeah, it is normal to feel it in the body. And feeling it in, you know, through our emotional body, feeling it through pain, feeling it through it's the energy surfacing that is tied to, we could say past experiences, but as we know, what we know about time, it's really past, present, and future experience. But we'll just say past. The energy tied to stored past experiences based on the meaning that we've given them, or the energetic imprint that was generated when that thing occurred, and then likely continued to occur, because as we know, we play things out over and over again, and not only in this lifetime, but in many lifetimes. But the beautiful thing is that what we heal now carries through time and space. And So I say this just to kind of preface our conversation. And, as I was sitting today with this energy of the Sirius gateway, which is this period of time. And again, we are in a time of awakening and transformation. While I do believe in portals and gateways, I kind of think that it's kind of like this time that we're in is a portal and a gateway in of itself. But this one in particular is really here to to gear us and elevate us into higher states of consciousness and really accelerate our spiritual growth. And with that comes change and transformation, and truly like never before. And it can kind of it's like that preparing for takeoff, and if we're not ready, we're like holding on to every ounce of density that we have because we're afraid of what's to come next, even though that plane is taking us into a new plane of being, and a new cruising altitude, so to speak. And so as I was sitting with this energy this morning, my guides reminded me of something that they showed me, it must have been maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But it's so incredibly relevant, so I'll share it with you. So I was asking the same question about why do we fear change? Why do we fear change? Especially when here we are, and I know many of you that are here have the awareness that what lies on the other side of change, growth, transformation is always a gift. It is always for our highest good. We always feel better. We always feel brighter. We always feel lighter. Yet, even though we can consciously know this, intuitively feel it, through our visionary intuitive eyes, see it, we still have to walk through the discomfort, the threshold, to get us to the other side. So this is what my guides played out for me. They showed me this vision where myself and hundreds of other people were standing at the edge of this field that was completely on fire, but the fire was contained. So it was like we could all get really as close to the fire as we wanted to, because it wasn't like, it wasn't moving at us. It was contained in this field. And hovering above the fire were everybody's angels, guides, any ascended master that you could possibly want to call upon, just all hovering right above. And I could see, and what was happening with all of these people that were surrounding me. And everyone's guides are saying to them, if you walk through this fire, we've got you. You are fully protected. We are going to surround you with exactly what you need in order to make this trek through this blazing fire. And so it could have literally been God himself, or whatever each individual soul considered to be their most trustworthy source. And still, I can see people to my right and to my left. Jaya Simrit, yes. Some were like, oh yeah, there's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way. Like partners talking to each other. There's no way I'm doing that. There's no way. And so some are walking away, others are just standing there in shock. That like kind of paralyzed feeling that we can have when we can have as many signs, as many synchronicities, as many confirmations, as many readings. We can have all of that. Yet when we stand in front of the fire, we still dig our heels into the soil. And we want to hold on to what we know. And, you know, what my guides were sharing is that we won't tell you how long it's going to take you to walk through. And this is, I mean, I'm like, my hair is standing on end as I tell this. We can't tell you how long it's going to take. We can't tell you how far until you get to the other side. But there is another side. There is another side. And we can guarantee you that all that you desire right now, all that you would desire to create, to manifest, to make your reality, will be right there for you. Doing the deed instead of only thinking and talking about it. Yes, yes, yes. So true, yes. I saw the fire. I could missed it, but there was a comment about the baptism by the fire. I like that. So it was amazing just to stand there and be able to witness everyone's reaction in the face of fear. And it didn't matter what kind of truth or confirmation or what celestial being was there to confirm that you would be safe. You would be protected the whole way through. But you had to be the one to do it. And so, you know, often in these experiences that I have, they're like waking dreams in a sense, because I can often like interface and interact with them like this one. And so what I did was I intentionally built up my field as much as I could. And I just thought, like, what the hell? I'm going to walk through. And just as they promised, maybe, you know, there's some warmth of the glow, but you can't see in any and all directions. You're just walking straight on through in complete trust and complete faith. And when I did eventually get on the other side, I was also surprised, because what I saw was like a hill, a couple rocks, clear sky, but seemingly nothingness. And my guides were like, here you go. What do you want to create? You get to do it. You get to create it now. Badly, I needed to hear this reminder today, trust and faith. Yeah. Yeah, and it's so huge, because this is what stands between us and our next big breakthrough, our next big change, transformation. And, you know, in spiritual teachings, they talk about this journey, this part of the journey, as being, they often will call it like dweller on the threshold, or this threshold that we have to move through, just like a plane does to get to its cruising altitude. This threshold that we must move through in order to shift our density and our vibration. And I did a live a while back where I talked about this, it kind of being that time where it's like you're going through the cosmic checkpoint at the airport, where it's like you have to literally check your baggage. You have to check your baggage because the weight isn't going to be able to be sustained where you are going. And so not only do we experience fear, and I'll talk a little bit about fear in a minute, but not only do we experience the fear of the unknown, what lies on the other side, what's going to happen, what am I going to have to feel when I go through the flames? And then to get on the other side, and it wasn't like my guides were like, oh, well, here's your house over here, and like there are your friends over there, and there's your purpose over there, and this is what you're gonna, da 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 da. It was like, responsibility's on you now. You got this beautiful land. What are you gonna do with it? And they were basically like, in this realm, think and so it is. And then we get to that point in time where we're like, yeah, I'm getting this call for something new. Yeah, I'm feeling like pushed into this change and this transformation. And oh, I'm going to walk through that fire. And oh, baby, I get on the other side and I actually have to now take the responsibility and ownership that I am the creator. And then it could be as simple as just aligning my intention with what I desire, and so it is made manifest. Because that is truly how powerful we are. That is truly how powerful we are. That is heaven on earth as it is in heaven, like the phoenix walking through the fire. Yes, absolutely. Fire symbolizes transformation. It sure does. It sure does. And I truly believe that this is the calling of the time that we're in. Do you know how many times I have gone through some of my hardest lessons and toughest chapters, and then I've been like, okay, everything's cool, everything's steady. I just want things to just stay like this, like nobody move a muscle, like I don't want to grow, I don't want to change anything. And then the next thing I know, it's like 2 weeks go by and then it's like this invitation for growth that I can't pass up. And I'm like, all I wanted was like just this. Just this. I didn't want anything to move. But it's like, this is where we are. As much as we can attune and align with peace and contentment, we are being activated, we are being awakened, we are downloading visions and glimpses of our infinite potential and possibility that we can't ignore. And so what do we do with it? We can try to ignore it. We can try to keep things as they are. But then even that starts to turn into a weight that gets heavier in our energetic backpack over time when we don't listen. Out of fear. And ultimately, I would say that the fear is actually being generated by a subconscious belief or program. Because fear, I mean, even, this is just an example, but even the animals that we fear in this lifetime, it's not the animal itself that is actually scary. I mean, maybe it's a little scary, like in its vision or intimidating, but like that's also a program. Just like we do to our fellow man and woman. But our fears of particular animals actually stem from lifetimes where there was a meaning attached to the animal that created or generated a belief about that animal to be true that has then carried into the now. And so this fear of the unknown is also a program, is also a belief that is not just one isolated belief. I am afraid of the unknown. There's so many different beliefs in that in-between state. The fear of feeling too much, the fear of our emotions, the fear of our expression, the fear of how powerful we actually are, the fear that, like, of taking responsibility for being the creator, even though our spiritual and conscious mind are like, of course, I'm on board, I'm willing. But that 80, 90, even higher percentage subconscious is telling a wildly different story. And this is why the walk through the fire is so profound. Because you get the opportunity, A, to prove your mind wrong, B, to go through that burning off of the outdated identities and baggage that no longer serve you. Because if you don't take those steps, even though it's not linear, even though you take as you take those steps, right, that baggage that cannot be maintained in this new vibration must be burned off. And that is what a lot of us are feeling right now through these discomforts. And we're doing this in big ways and small ways all the time, really. But we can actually also, just be just as resistant to it, or kind of compound the energy by adding on stories to it, rather than knowing, wow, this is what I'm going through, and what is coming up is moving out. And that we do have the full capacity, even though this isn't what we were taught, we do have the full capacity to feel exponentially. And ultimately, it's really not the pain that we are afraid of. We actually know pain, and we kind of prefer to hold on to pain and painful stories and the painful meaning we have given to our experiences because we know it, and because of its density. And so we all do this. We'd much rather hold on to the story that we know, even if it's painful, because we know it. And that means we don't have to embark into the unknown. We don't have to go through that period of not knowing, of not having something to grasp and hold on to and know to be true, even though it is not a total truth. This is why we hold on to habits that don't serve us. Same thing. Because we know it, and because its energetic quality is dense, and because of its density, it gives us the illusion that we are root chakra energies, our densest vibration, safe, secure, connected, grounded, all of the things. Because the energetic density is providing us with that illusion. Totally answered my question. Awesome. Wants to keep me safe. Really no danger. Yes, exactly. Awesome, Alexis. Oh, Gemini healer. See you there. So I find it's helpful to lay this all out because we are all going through this and we're all being kind of shaken up to really have to see and to face and to feel what we've been holding on to that does not have a place in our future. And so again, it is all a gift. It is all a blessing. But are we willing to be there for ourselves as we go through this fire, as we move through the threshold? And to know that you are an energetic being that has been carrying energy, experiences, and the meaning that you've given your experiences in the form of energy in your field for lifetimes. And here we are in this incarnation to burn it off like never before, so that we can move more fully into our greatness, into our fullness, into our truth, into our truest expression in all areas of our life. And, sometimes it's like they're all interrelated. But I know from my own experience, it can be exceptionally frustrating, especially when you're an intuitive and sensitive soul, a visionary, where you can see things so clearly. You get the signs, you get the signals, you know what is of your highest good, you know that you have more to offer. Yet, you're also so self-aware that you know exactly where you're staying small, exactly where you're staying in your little bubble, exactly where things are looping, and you can't quite figure it out. And so what do you do? What do you do when you hit those points in time in your journey? Do you just toil with them? Do you think there's something wrong with you because you can't figure it out? I know I've done this. There's got to be something wrong with me. There's got to be. If I can't figure this out, if I can't manifest this thing, if this thing isn't my reality yet, if all the things. But there's nothing wrong with you. There's just sneaky, hidden, subconscious beliefs that still exist no matter how self-aware you are. And I know this, from my own experience, and I also just know this from this being such a common trend with the women that I work with. And so I feel like at this point I've become very equipped with being able to see and guide and be there for not only myself, but I even can't do it alone. This is the humbling thing. I will honestly say that my work, intimate work with other women in a one-on-one container, have been the most powerful and transformative experiences on the positive front. You know, we've all been through the ones that were like, did I really have to learn that way? Did I really have to grow that way? And then finally, I was like, no more of that bullshit. You know, I've learned through that way. And not to say that I'm free and clear of that, but I certainly went through a threshold where I didn't have to learn through unresolved shadow anymore. And I actually got to say, wow, I'm going to take ownership of the knowing that I'm having visions, I'm having these feelings, and it's driving me crazy that I can't seem to figure it out or get to this place that I desire to be. And in that humble asking of help, miraculous and positive changes have been able to occur. Because I can see into my client's subconscious all day long. That is my gift. I have an ability to follow beliefs to their root, to their core. I can't always do that with myself. I have tried. Oh, trust me. I have tried like going into a psychic altered state and pretending like I am my own client and how I would do that. And like, you know, of course I can do that kind of self-healing, but there is also a part of this human journey where we are being called to be vulnerable and open and expressive and be seen fully by another person. And so this is really the place from which my one-on-one mentorship program emerged and was birthed. First and foremost, only because I can say through my own experience that it has been the most positive and profound in all aspects and facets of my life. Because the underlying energy is always the key, main, major influencer of everything. Everything. The energy creates the physicality. So follow the red road in life and spirit. So one-on-one mentorship. It's the hand to hold as you walk through the fire. It's the vulnerable, open, loving, supportive space where you get to express not only your amazing intuition and your amazing insights and self-awareness that I know that you have, but most importantly, you get to lay those cards on the table that say, I can't figure this one out. This keeps playing out. This thing is holding me back. This is where I feel blocked. This is where I feel stuck. This is where I feel helpless or hopeless. We're all going through this in some way. And I certainly told the narrative for a long time that there would just be an end of the road. There would be an end of the road, that I wouldn't be able to figure it out, or things would just start going down. Everything would just start going down, or there would always just be a dead end. I wasn't worthy. I wasn't capable. That was for somebody else. On and on the story would go. And if I had continued with that story, that would certainly be my reality, because it has played out, and it has played out, and it has played out. And then when I observe, and this is what's so sneaky about the subconscious, because that is its job, to play out your beliefs, to confirm them for you. And so when we actually are up against change or transformation, we say, how could it be me that would be my potential and possibility? Because look at what life has shown me. It has shown me here and here and here and here that I am not worthy, that I am not capable, that I am not free, that all the things. But just because something has played out for you in the past does not mean it has a place in your present or your future. But just like that example, so beautifully laid out by my guides, you have to be the one to make the choice when you're standing at the edge of the blazing fire. You can have, again, all the signs, all the synchronicities, everyone confirming it for you, the number one psychic in all of creation. But even that, they're telling you one possible timeline. And we do that because we don't want to fully take the responsibility that through our choices, we are the ones creating our reality. We are. Yes, there are things to learn. Yes, there is a divine plan. But just because there is does not mean our guides are like, no, that's in place. Your soul chose that. But you have massive amounts of free will and wiggle room to create. And the number one reason why we don't is because we don't want to take responsibility. We're afraid of making a wrong choice, making a wrong decision. That's our ego. And so this is why mentorship containers are so valuable, because you get to out yourself the whole way through about what's coming up. What are the objections? What are the fears? What narrative am I saying? What am I coming up against? Because you move through these highs and you're like, yes, I got this. I'm going. The vision is clear. I'm taking these steps. And then it's just like, oh shit, the mountain comes crumbling down and another thing happens. And whoa, I didn't know that was in there. And I didn't know that was in there. And oh, wow, this thing that I thought it was all along. And now it's not that at all. And here I was thinking that I wanted to create an online business. And oh my God, I didn't realize that there were years and years and years and years of built up beliefs that streaming back through money, through acceptance, through all the list of things goes on and on and on. And this is why it's so powerful and so profound. I feel like it's about controlling the fears which we ourselves create in our minds, and learn to let go and give those fears to the universe when we just go with the flow and let it go and release it. Beautifully said. And again, like, easier said than done. And look, like, the fear, the positive thing of fear is that it can aid in discernment. Doesn't want us to get hurt. But then we get to actually interface with the part of us, not the totality of us, that is scared. And we get to listen to him or her and listen to them as they actually express, what am I scared? What is scaring me about this in terms of the flames? Okay, I'm scared that I'm going to get burnt and I'm going to die. I mean, the big one is death, right? Okay, but your guides are telling you that you're going to be fully safe and supported and protected. And then it's like, oh, well, then there's a deeper belief in spirit. Do you believe that spirit exists? Do you believe that there's life after death? Do you believe that you are inherently supported? Do you believe that life can get better? Do you believe, you see, it's like there's so many beliefs that are underlying that fear. So it's sometimes to just say, oh, release the fear, like, kudos if that's the way that it works and we can just offer it up. But often it's like, let's crack that fear open. What are we really scared of? What are we really scared of? And it might be the journey itself. It might be the feeling itself. Okay, well, part of me that's afraid to feel because whatever reason that part of you is afraid to feel. But what if we knew that when those feelings come up, that I'm going to give you time. I'm going to offer you some love like I haven't offered you before. I'm going to offer you some rest like I haven't offered you before. I'm going to listen to you like I haven't listened to you before. This starts to shift that energetic pull that keeps us stuck where we are. So cracking it open over and over and over and over again to let that part of us actually be heard, so that these beliefs can start to come out. And then we get to lighten our load and we get to cultivate trust. And that is part of this journey, this initiation, as we move, well, not linear again, but from point A to point B. What I found startling is how quickly the simplest thoughts turn into beliefs, even when you are aware and monitoring them. It takes some vigilance. Yeah, and I think on the other side of that, too, we also have the ability to generate new beliefs through our own experience of tuning into, like associating new beliefs with feeling frequencies and then taking action on them. And so, yeah, while I don't think that we have to have all of our subconscious beliefs sorted out or figured out or cleared before that next new thing. That next new thing, that next up level, that next expansion, that new relationship, that new job, that new whatever it is, that new habit, they're gonna, if there's any left, which there are, this is the humbling piece, they will show up. Before I got into the relationship that I'm in now, it was like I went through one of the toughest chapters of my life and then got into this place where it was just kind of my own personal divine perfection and really setting this this standard. But and then when that energy attracted towards me, I was like, oh my God, this is obviously amazing that this was able to work. It didn't work. There was no it showed up when it was meant to show up. I had no control over that. But that didn't mean that there hasn't been tons of work and clearing and humbling moments, even when it is at that vibration that you desire to be. So we're being given, and I think that this is the time that we're in, we're being given these opportunities in every area and facet of our life. Nothing is random. Nothing is random. And even when we are moving towards that thing or we are in that thing, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But here's where the spiritual growth component comes in. Because even though it doesn't stop, and I'm not saying that as though there are no moments of peace, there are no moments of bliss, there are no moments of just freedom and expansion, there completely are and is. But part of our journey, never mind the things that we want to experience and expand into in these different areas of our life, personally, professionally, romantically, the works. But that common piece that is true for all humanity, no matter how it's playing out, is that we are here to move closer to love, and we are all on a journey of ascension, which is spiritual growth. And so because that is what our soul has signed up for, our higher self also knows this, and that is why these experiences come into our field, these relationships come into our field, these situations come into our field, these lessons come into our field, because that is what we are asking for. And that is what we are being presented with so that it can most authentically and sustainably occur. Relationships can bring up our fears, triggers, subconscious belief, etc. to the surface, and that can be truly a gift. Yeah, and sometimes so not fun. And so, like, I mean, I know my common tendency for a while, it's like, oh, you get to that place before I really understood this, before I understood triggers and how triggers are actually, even though, God, so humbling and so frustrating and so not our preference, but they are the direct arrow pointing us back to the subconscious belief that we didn't know was there. It's like this pointing arrow back to ourself. Because before I knew that, it was like that stuff would come up, okay, see you later. I would like be the first out the door. And now that I know, wow, meeting that part of me, like what it means if I stay, and what it means if I just sit in this and be with this and consider where I'm responsible or what is actually mine and what is theirs. Because it's all right there. It's all right there. A trigger is not coming from nowhere. But it's like something that has likely perpetuated itself over and over and over. Relationships are spiritual assignments. Yeah. And like, look, and that's also not to say, like, this could be a whole nother rabbit hole of a conversation, but that's not to say, you know, I've had so many clients that have like tried to use spiritual principle, things like twin flame or things like we're talking about, to stay in relationships that just ultimately are not for their highest good. I have certainly done that too. It's like, if I were more evolved, or if I just grow a little bit more, or if I could just learn to love a little bit more, then this is going to be great. Oh, I've done that. So there's also just a level of, you know, mindfulness around that topic. To let go is to trust and face the fear and move through it. Yeah, and we have that ability. And so this is, I think, one of the core rewirings. Because I think that it can be helpful to think of them as beliefs that have been programmed for generations and generations and lifetimes and lifetimes. And to know that to be true, it's like you're doing it for you, and you're doing it for all aspects and facets of you and your lineage. To say, I get to choose something new. I get to do something different. I get to make a new choice. I get to take a new path. I get to think a new thought. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you've done all the rewiring. It's like, I'm just willing to prove my mind wrong. I'm just willing to prove my mind wrong, and I can't wait until I do. Because I know energetics. I know through what my guides have shared, the laws of the universe. And so as long as we can keep tapping into those reminders, because we need them, because the programming is so thick, we can take it step by step and support ourselves, even if there's a part of us that is still scared. There is still at the same time a part of us that can be deeply rooted in trust and faith and love and support. Both can happen simultaneously. But it's just bringing this extra level of consciousness around this really crucial part of our human experience. And so that is why, again, the one-on-one mentorship containers have been formed. Because sometimes a 1-hour session is phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But to have the consistent support day after day for 4 weeks or for 8 weeks, that's where the true lasting change can occur. Because as you likely know, so often we have that 1 hour session, things are forever changed. However, that tendency to go back into our familiar groove is so very common. And so it's like we sustain that frequency, we align with that truth, we come into that deepened relationship of who we really are. Those are the gifts of those sessions. We gain this great awareness around these underlying energies, and we gain access to our greater totality, which is phenomenal that can all happen in 60 minutes. But then my desire for you is to create even greater momentum, to create this fertile soil that allows for not only rich integration, but growth, and from a place that is sustainable and true and authentic. To recognize when our own beliefs stem, where our beliefs stem from is key. Knowing what is projected onto us and what is ourselves. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we have that ability. Drink so I can prove my mind wrong. Yeah, I love that resonates with you. And I have to go through this all the time, and I know many of you as well. You have the spiritual, multidimensional awareness. You can tap into ultimate truth. And just because you can do that, that is a gift. And that also, when I talk about, merging the non-physical with the physical, this is part of that essence. This is part of that ability that we have, because we get to channel that part of us that knows to meet the part of us that doesn't know, or the part of us that is still in that outdated groove. But this is the opportunity that is being presented to us over and over again, and why sometimes these portals, these gateways, can feel so heightened in their energy, because that which is not in resonance with that frequency is coming up, not only to be met, but to ultimately be experienced, to be felt, and then to be cleared, because it didn't have the opportunity likely to be felt at the time that it was experienced, or that groove has become such a pattern and we're so used to it we don't even realize that it's there, or what it's creating or governing or controlling within us. So with that said, one-on-one mentorship for July and August is now open. So this opens up the space to 4 weeks or 8 weeks. And I've, throughout this live, expressed some of the key components that are involved. But each mentorship, each woman that I work with, this is basically the kind of my top tier offering and the focus of where my energy is going. I cleared out a lot of space in my business so that these mentorship containers could emerge and be a part of the mission that I have, and coming from that place of how profoundly they have changed my own life and aspects of my life. And so in these mentorship containers, we meet once a week, but then in between those meetings, you basically get full-time access to me through a messaging service, so that we can chat back and forth with what's coming up for you, what are the challenges, what are the discomforts, what are the breakthroughs, what are the insights, what are you going through. So it's a consistent what you put in, what you get out. And in that in-between time, there are also very tangible ways that you can integrate what we are uncovering, activating, and implementing in those 1-hour sessions where we meet. So these are really for the woman who is ready for some big change, who is ready to walk through that fire, who is feeling that call or feeling that frustration of knowing, wow, I'm feeling like I'm ready to step outside of my bubble. I feel like I'm being called through this inner feeling, through my visions, and I don't quite know how to get there, or I feel like I'm just looping and I can't quite figure out that missing link. This is my specialty, and I'm here for you if this is something that is activating a feeling within. Once you tap into your subconscious mind, how can you release the blocks and fears? Well, this is something, honestly, that I focus on in both my single sessions and my mentorship sessions, because yes, you could potentially do that on your own. Joe Dispenza is a great resource for reprogramming the subconscious. They can be layered. You can't necessarily say that it's all going to be reprogrammed and rewired in one session. But listening, you can get into brainwave states that are very malleable, like the delta brainwave state before you go to bed, or the kind of brainwave state that you get into in a healing session, where you're actually able to, through intention, go to that point in time. And you may or may not know that exact point in time. And I say this because this is what I do in my sessions. You ask to be taken to that point in time, and you might have a psychic experience as you move into that. Most do. Only, again, if it's in their highest good. And so as you move into that space, we start to realize, oh wow, this is the experience where this belief was generated, or the first time that it was activated in this lifetime. And we meet that energy because the belief is formed by a meaning that we have given to some sort of an experience or situation. And luckily, while the experience or the situation may have already happened, it is not set in stone, because we actually get to change the energy around that situation by influencing it with the energy and the consciousness and the love that we are embodying in the now. And then we get to explore, how can we rewrite this story? How can we give this experience new meaning? And that helps to alchemize or neutralize that energetic frequency. And then there's this beautiful aspect of calling in, activating and implementing the new beliefs associated with a feeling frequency. And we affirm that over and over and over again. And as I expressed even earlier, your daily life experiences are pointing you to your subconscious all the time. The things that trigger you, most importantly, are giving you that direct arrow into your subconscious mind. What is it that I believe to be true? Hope that, did not mean to do that. Cleared that up for you. Thank you for that question. All right. Well, for those of you that are feeling called to work together in that one-on-one mentorship container, link is in my bio. It's an application, And the application gives you the opportunity to really ask yourself some of the deeper questions and get really clear on your intention behind potentially wanting to work together, and to just make sure that we're on the, the same path and the same page. Do you work with men? I do work with men. Absolutely. I would say 90% of my clients are women. So I tend to direct my conversation to women, but I absolutely have an open door for men as well. Thank you for asking that. Absolutely. The same method, the same approach. However, it is all completely personalized. No two sessions are the same. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I would love to hear, what are those, if those key fears that are coming up for you right now, are those areas of your life where you are being called to kind of step up and step into and expand. What area of your life are those coming up? And you can let this sit, because this, particularly in this portal that is happening until tomorrow, is certainly highlighting that within us. Where is it that we're feeling like, if I could just figure that one thing out? If I could just move through that one block, if I could just get clear on this piece, if I could just feel safe enough to step outside of my bubble, if I could just know that I would be okay, whether I was accepted or not accepted, stepping into my truth. Because that's such a big one. This conversation this week that we've been having around our true self, because that's such a key piece in this journey. And through my work with myself and a common thread in many of my clients, there is this desire, this knowing of their true self. Yet because their true self was not accepted by their parents or at a young age by their peers, and they always had to kind of morph and change who they are in order to receive love or to feel like they were accepted. And to be at this point of where they are in their evolution, coming to know themselves, knowing their totality, they just kind of keep it really safeguarded and in this little bubble. Yet they're being called for more, and they're being called to step outside of that bubble. And so there's so much reworking and rewiring around, wow, what if I do let others see my true self now? And again, I'm not accepted. What will that look like? And will I be able to handle that? And you can. You absolutely can. You are fully equipped. But sometimes we need support, and we need the consistent reminder. A fear is knowing when to stay in a connection and when to go. Not sure if I fully understand that question. If you could reword that for better clarity, that would be great. Or you can just send me a DM and we can keep this conversation going. And so for those of you that are just tuning in now, I will be posting this live to IGTV so you can rewatch, catch all of the juicy stuff we covered from the beginning. Lots of rich insight into fears, into our journey of spiritual growth, but really growth in every area and facet of our life. This is why we're here, This is where we're going. This is why we're growing. And these opportunities are just available to us everywhere we turn. So I'm grateful that all of you tuned in and shared in this time and in this conversation. Because while we're all on our own unique journey, right, we truly are all in this together. So it is my honor that I get to share this with you. Oh, I know myself, the more anger I receive from my family, but I'm healing and I'm feeling fear from their expression towards my healing. They don't accept my healing. Yes. So I love that. If you want to, there's a live that I did. It's Is There Something Wrong With Me live. That one we talk about this topic, and I think the live before that. So I'd go ahead and rewatch that, because that is such a common conversation. And okay, I'm gonna go on just one last little rant. It's not up. Even though the way that our whole system is set up, and look, we come into this world and we want our parents to be the ones that understand us, accept us, love us, all the things unconditionally, but it's just not how it's set up. And it's this really interesting pickle that we get ourselves in, that the people or the person that we want the love and the acceptance from is the last one that is equipped to give it to us. And especially with our parents, for most of us, our parents' level of consciousness was not at the level of consciousness where we are. So how could we expect them to give us what they don't have? And it's never anyone else's job, our parents, our family, whatever, to validate our growth, our healing, our journey. It deepens your relationship to yourself. It actually grants you greater room for compassion and knowing that where they are is exactly where they are, and they're doing the best that they can with what they have and where they are in their evolution and journey. And that requires a lot. It requires a lot of the self to feel validated even when not receiving external validation, or to give yourself love even when not receiving love from the people or the person that you most desperately want it from. So it doesn't need to be accepted. And the question would just be to journal for yourself, why? Why? And talk to that little boy or girl inside of you that hasn't felt accepted, likely for a long time. I say this from my own experience. This has been a huge part of my healing. I would not be sitting here talking to you if I was still look, I still have energetic frequencies around acceptance, but I still show up. Because I know that deeper part of me, that is what I have to do. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. I look forward to that DM. I completely relate on a personal journey, but I have so many tragedies that continue to block me from progressing. And again, to that, Ruby, I would just say, refer to the live around why did I choose this. I think that might be freeing and empowering for you, because on some level, even the most challenging situations, on some level, we have to ask, why is this happening for me and not to me? I feel that. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. And if you're being lit up by this and you're feeling compelled to work together one-on-one, fill out the application. I would love to take that next step with you. And if you just want to keep this conversation going, send me a DM. I would love to hear from you. So let's keep it rolling. And I thank you all so much for your continued presence and being a part of the Kamali community. It just fills me up every single day, and I am eternally grateful for each and every one of you. So sending you all my love, and until next time.